Hello once again, everybody. It's time for the Pigskin Prognosticator of Prodigious Proportions. We have the picks for championship weekend, and we'll concentrate on the games on Saturday. Not that the other championship games are not important, but we're going to go with those big games on Saturday, which have a lot of meaning. But first things first, a thought about college basketball so far, and we're talking about men's basketball. Chaos has ensued. In fact, thanks to the transfer portal, and thanks to name, image, and likeness, we have more chaos in men's college basketball than we had in college football. Think about that. Number one, Kansas loses to Creighton. Alabama wins at North Carolina, and chance of roll tide came raining down from the Smith Center, Roy Williams Court, which is crazy. Auburn's got one of the more experienced teams in college basketball. They lose at Duke. Listen, Duke's a good team, and Auburn threw the ball around and away way too much. But all in all, still Auburn a very impressive team. Tennessee likely to be the number one team in the country next week. By the way, Florida is now 9-0. They're 13 in the country. They haven't started 9-0 since Billy Donovan was their coach like 10 years ago. So the thought here is the Southeastern Conference men's basketball. It is the best league in America right now, and it will be spelled out at the end of the season. With all due respect to the Big Ten, who can't believe that, the ACC, the Big 12, which for years has hung their head on the fact that we are the best top to bottom basketball league in America, but with all the influx of new teams, etc., that has in essence weakened the Big 12. But again, the Southeastern Conference is the best league in men's college basketball. If you'd have said that 5, 6, 7 years ago, you'd have been laughed out of the room. Now it's legit, and we'll see how it plays out. Really exciting if you love basketball like I do, and the fact that we got some really, really good teams, and we're seeing it play out before we ever even get into conference play. It's going to be fun. One thought about college football before we get into the picks. I don't know if you saw it or not. Shedeur Sanders, the outstanding quarterback at Colorado, Coach Prime's son, likely to be the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft. By the way, he bought his left tackle a $200,000 Maybach, thanking him for protecting his blind side this season. Colorado 9-3, by the way. Think about how crazy that is. Listen, it's Katie bar the door. It's the wild, wild west. It's only going to get more chaotic down the road. But that's where we are, so we need to sit back and not be surprised by anything anymore in college athletics. Now to the picks. Championship Saturday. Let's start with that Big 12. It's Iowa State against Arizona State down at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Jerry World. First time Iowa State's ever been in the game. First time they've ever had a 10-win season in the regular season. So good for the Cyclones. And I'm telling you, it is amazing. As long as they've been playing college football, first double-digit win season. Arizona State, a 2.5-point favorite. Kenny Dillingham's team is on a serious roll. And they're likely going to win the Big 12 championship and go into the 12-team playoff. Last week against rival Arizona, they rolled up 646 yards and 24 first downs. The offense is virtually unstoppable. I think they're more explosive than a very good Iowa State team, who by the way, can move the football as well. But I think in a high-scoring game, Arizona State wins the Big 12 championship and covers that 2.5-point spread. Now to the ACC, SMU on a roll. And if you go to our YouTube channel, had a great conversation with Rich Phillips, the longtime voice of the SMU Mustangs. Again, when you think the fact that SMU bought their way into the ACC, the conference said, we'll gladly welcome you into our conference. We're just not going to give you any TV money for a decade. And the alums at SMU, very wealthy alums, stood up and said, not a problem. We'll gather enough money to cover that, in essence, just a loss on paper. And we'll also increase your NIL money. We got it going. So for the first time in 39 years, SMU is ranked in the top 10. They're 2.5 points favorite over Dabo's Clemson Tigers. Again, SMU 8-0 in the ACC. Didn't play Clemson in the regular season. Didn't play Miami in the regular season. They're a team that went 8-0, and of their ACC wins, only 2 of those wins came against teams with winning records in the conference. Not to take anything away from them because their quarterback is outstanding. Defensively, they're really, really good. SMU is a good team, and they got some nice transfers in. They won the American Athletic Conference last year, so they know what it takes to win Rhett Lashley's team. Clemson, 8-1 all-time in the ACC Championship in Charlotte. I think SMU takes care of business. I know there's all this talk, gosh, what if they lose? Are they going to get passed by Alabama? Yes, they would, but I think they'll take care of business and cover that 2.5-point spread and send Clemson packing. Meantime, Big Ten, this will be interesting. You watch the SEC, and then the later game is always the Big Ten game. Penn State against Oregon. Oregon a 3.5-point favorite in that game. James Franklin, head coach at Penn State, has had his troubles going against highly ranked teams. In fact, since he's been at Penn State, only 1 victory against teams that are ranked in the top 5. I'll maintain this. At the beginning of the season, I said we are not going to have an undefeated team heading into the playoffs, and I still believe that. Oregon is the last man standing, and I think on Saturday night, I think Penn State and James Franklin finally deliver one of those performances they've been dying for a long time against a highly ranked team, in this case, the number 1 ranked team. I think Penn State upsets Oregon. You're getting 3.5. That's my pick there. Meantime, the SEC, it's Georgia, Texas, the rematch. Of course, Georgia 1-2 in the last 3 SEC championship games. 2 of those losses to Alabama. Texas, in the loss to Georgia, 4 or 5 weeks ago, they had a total of 28 rushing yards against the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, over the last month or so, have things changed? Has Texas gotten better? Has Georgia gotten worse? And the answer to those questions is no and no. I think Texas is a good football team. I think they benefited from a relatively soft schedule, the way things laid out. I think Georgia is getting guys back. I think they're healthier now than they were when they plastered Texas in Austin. Again, this is a virtual home game for Georgia. Texas will experience how loud that is inside that dome with predominantly all Georgia Bulldogs fans. Texas will have a nice contingent, but not nearly the strength of the Georgia fan club. And I think Georgia beats Texas again to win the SEC championship, and Texas will go in as an at-large into the playoffs. And potentially, Georgia and Texas could meet in a couple of weeks for the 3rd time in the Big 12, in the Final 12 college football playoffs. So those are the picks. Looking forward to it. Isn't it a great time of year? College basketball, college football leading right into the playoffs, this wild 12-team playoff. And again, we've been saying all along, if you listen to us on Mondays on Tide 100.9, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham with Barry and Wimp Sanderson, every Monday at 8:15 Central Time. I haven't altered the talk. 4 Big Ten, 4 SEC, and last week they kept saying, but what about Miami? What about Miami? I said, believe me, Alabama is going to be in that playoff. It's going to happen, folks. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games, hoops and football. And remember, if you listen to us, you might wake up Sunday morning independently wealthy.